Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video about introducing solids to your baby. J. Marie has been having solid food for a month now, 2 months if you include rice cereal. She just turned 6 months, and it's going really well. And I kind of just have a bunch of the stuff that you need, and then a little bit of information about like when you can tell that your baby's ready. On most of the websites that I looked up, they say that introducing solids, you pretty much do it in between 4 and 6 months. What happened with J. Marie is at her 4-month well baby checkup, we went and her pediatrician pretty much was like, well, you guys can start rice cereal. So I have a video on that too, about rice cereal if you guys want to go check that out. I have like all the information about starting rice cereal in that video, but so we went home, I got all the stuff for rice cereal, we tried it the next day. The reason they tell you to start rice cereal first is pretty much because nobody's allergic to rice, really, I guess, because it's something that's really low in like people that have allergies with it, and it's good for practice for making sure that your baby can swallow well before you start like foods. And because when they're 4 months, their digestive systems really aren't ready for all of the ingredients and stuff, and the new nutrients and everything aren't really ready to digest all that stuff that's in baby food. So, ways that you can tell that your baby is ready is as long as your baby has head control. They can hold their head by themselves. If you like set them up and like you have a boppy around them or you have them propped up on pillows, they can pretty much set up by themselves. And they have a little bit more balance. One of the biggest things is that they've lost the extrusion reflux, which is babies have a reflux where anything that enters their mouth that isn't like liquid, like their breast milk or formula, they automatically spit it out. So if you notice, the way that I noticed that J. Marie had lost that reflux was when she would spit up and swallow it back down. I know that's completely disgusting, but she would spit up and swallow it back down, or like sometimes she would swallow her own drool. So that's how I knew that her reflux was gone. Also, chewing motions, babies do this, like some chewing motions, that's a good sign. As they've doubled their birth weight. At 4 months, she had doubled her birth weight, so that's how I knew it was time to start rice cereal. And curiosity of what you're eating. Like I said, at 4 months with her, we started rice cereal. I just started with just plain Gerber rice. And what I did was I gave it to her once a day. I usually gave it to her in the morning. And I always mix any of her rice cereal. I always mix it with formula, or I guess breast milk if you're breastfeeding, instead of water. And what I did was during that month, from 4 months to 5 months, what I did was every time that I fed her, every week, I would gradually make the consistency of her rice cereal thicker, because they really recommend that it's like literally water, like when you first give it to them. And I made it gradually thicker so that she's eating a little bit more of it and it's thicker and she's working on that reflux a little bit more. By the time we got to foods, she would be able to handle foods that aren't completely like water. 5 months old, we started on single ingredient foods. It's really important to do single ingredient foods first because you have to wait 3 days between each food to make sure that your baby doesn't have an allergy to it. You need to check for like any change in attitude, if they have a fever, anything like that. You need to pay attention to all of that stuff. Okay, so we use the Gerber brand of food. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, blah 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 foods. Stage 1 is a lot more liquidy of a consistency, and Stage 2 is a little bit thicker. So what we did was, since I was gradually making her rice cereal thicker in the beginning, I just went ahead and put her in the Stage 2 foods. Reason being, this is a Stage 1 food. This is pears. And they usually come in little wrapping, but you can see that. And then this is the size of a stage 2 food. The stage 1 is more expensive than the stage 2. So we started on stage 2 and she was completely ready for it, and I think that she likes it to be thicker than thin. We went ahead and went right on in to stage 2 foods, which come in single ingredient foods and multi-ingredient foods. A lot of people wonder how you can tell when your baby's full. Your baby will pretty much tell you when they're full. What happened with her first couple of times is when she was full, she would start kind of crying and like shaking her head and wouldn't want, like she wouldn't eat anymore of the solid food. But what I noticed the first couple of times that I fed her was after I fed her the solid food and I like brought her to go play or whatever, she would cry and act like she was hungry. So I would make her a bottle and she would drink her whole entire regular amount of bottle, like I didn't just feed her solid food. For some reason, I think that's pretty normal for most babies. They don't realize that they can get full by just eating the solid food, and they don't have to have a whole entire bottle. And somehow they just kind of make room for it. So that happened for maybe like a week and a half. She would want a full bottle after eating her food. And, I mean, she wasn't eating that much food, but still, she was still able to find enough room to make her whole bottle. When we first started, we would do, I would feed her around lunchtime. I would feed her rice cereal and a fruit or a vegetable just once a day. And we did that for maybe like 2 weeks just to make sure that everything was rolling, everything was going good. And now I feed her rice cereal and a fruit at lunchtime, and then whole wheat or mixed grain or something a little bit more like hearty, I guess, and a vegetable at dinner time. So she eats it twice a day, and I always mix, like I said, formula with the rice cereal or the wheat or whatever it is. And somebody might have a question, are you still giving your baby formula or breast milk? Yes. Your baby is still going to drink formula or breast milk until they're 1 year old, like 1 year old. You don't give them cow's milk before then. They're not going to want a bunch of juice. They're not going to want a bunch of water. Yes, formula and breast milk. Every feeding in between, besides the lunch and the dinner when they do 2, or the lunch if you're just doing 1, or the breakfast, whatever time it is that you have it, is bottles. They're still having their regular formula. Like I said in the very beginning, she wanted to eat a full bottle right after a solid food feeding. So what I did after about a week and a half of that, I tried to wait about an hour. Like I would kind of distract her. She would start to get a little bit fussy. I would try and wait an hour after a solid food feeding to give her a bottle. And now, after doing that, she will eat a solid food like lunch or dinner, wait like hour and a half, almost 2 hours, drink a bottle, and then usually it's nap time. So that's really good to do. Try and wait an hour in between then, just so that they have time to digest the food and realize that eating the solid foods, when we feed you the solid foods, you're getting full. Not just your bottle is making you full. At 6 months, or if they are really constipated, it's a good time to introduce juice or water in a sippy cup only into their diet. At about 5 months, J. Marie got really constipated, and her bowel movements were a lot thicker, like a lot harder. They were hard than what they should be. So I introduced her to a sippy cup with some juice in it earlier than I would have liked to, but it really did help with her bowel movements. Really, I would have preferred to wait until she was 6 months old. But what I did was I got a sippy cup and put some ice in it and water, and then just a little bit of the juice at a time to try and help her with her bowel movements. The juice and the sugars and stuff helps break stuff up and make her poops not as hard. The reason that you want to put juice and water in a sippy cup only is because if they get used to juice in a bottle, then like when they get older and their teeth start coming in, like at like 8 months, 9 months, and their teeth start coming in and they want juice out of a bottle, it's gonna make cavities and stuff on those teeth. So it's better to do it with a sippy cup and trying to get them trained with a sippy cup so that they can progress to a cup. So now she's getting more accustomed to the sippy cup, and now that she's 6 months old, I offer her a sippy cup after each meal. And I don't put juice in it all the time now unless I notice that that day or the day before her poops were a little bit harder. I do just water, and since she's sick right now, I've been doing ice water to try and soothe her throat a little bit. But I offer that to her particularly because with the solid food, your baby's going to need much more liquids to keep them hydrated, because they're eating solids now, more than just their bottles, especially if you're doing it like once they start getting to 5.5 months, 6 months old, and you're feeding them twice a day. Introducing a sippy cup with some water in it is going to help a lot, especially with their bowel movements and to keep them hydrated. I have here a bunch of all of the things that I need for her feedings. These are the same bowls that we used for rice cereal. I use 2 of these now at each feeding, one for rice cereal, one for her solid food. And then we have switched spoons we had the little Nook ones that are like really rubber tipped. I've switched to these Munchkin ones because the dip in the spoon is a lot thicker. Everybody's probably seen these. These are by Munchkin. You can get them at Walmart. They come in a pack of like 6. They're all really cute. They have a nice little hold on them. So we have those. A good thing to get is we use, this is the only bib that I have like this, but I do like it. Usually we just use like the fabric bibs and I wash them, but if you're feeding your baby something like carrots, even if you're feeding it on like she had a pink bib, a really cute pink bib, when I fed her carrots, it's completely stained now. So this bib, it has this kind of material and it has this little pocket here to catch the little drippings. This is really nice because you can kind of just wipe it down and then wash it. You don't have to wash it every day or whatever before every use. You can kind of just wipe it down with a wet wipe because it has that material on it. So this one's really nice to have. And this one I actually carry in my diaper bag, and I just put in this little pocket. I'll put her spoon in there and just roll it up so that I don't have to have like a separate bag for her spoon and stuff like that. This is our formula, Parents' Choice Premium. For her lunchtime, she has rice. For her dinner, she has whole wheat or mixed grain, but this one's whole wheat. I initially wanted to give her homemade food only. I didn't want to do jar food, but my sister came across an ad on One Man's Junk here in the county that I live in, and they were selling, it was like 40 cans of baby food for like $10. I have been giving her jar foods. The only homemade foods that she's had is she has had homemade peaches, and she has also had avocado, which she loved. So what you need is some single ingredient foods. This one is sweet potato. This was her first food, and she loved it. She loved sweet potato. This is still one of her favorites. And usually it's good to get an orange food, sweet potato, or squash, or you know what I mean, an orange food, and a green food. This is green beans. This was her second food, and she liked them pretty well. Or peas, or spinach, or something like that. That's a green food. Or you can do a yellow food and a green food, or an orange food and a yellow food, but you don't want to feed them a bunch of orange foods, or a whole bunch of yellow foods, or a whole bunch of green foods. Now that she's pretty much tried every single ingredient food, I have started feeding her multiple ingredient foods. So she's had, Gerber makes a mixed berry and banana food. She's had that. She likes that one. This one is the one that I had to show you. This is apricot and mixed fruit Gerber, and it is stage 2 foods. I like these because they come with 2 of them, and they have a really nice top on them, and I can even reuse this guy, like wash this guy and reuse it for some homemade foods that I've made, so that's really nice to have. She has not tried any meat yet. Gerber, their meats are considered a stage 2 food. I have some, but I have not given them to her yet, and I haven't decided when I'm going to give them to her. I'm sure sometime in this month, maybe in about a week or so. Maybe I'll try and introduce a food like a chicken and chicken gravy or whatever. I have, usually during lunchtime she'll have an orange food and rice, and then during dinner time she will have a green food or vegetable, and whole wheat or multigrain. So that's kind of the schedule that I have her on, and then she has bottles in between, and after, immediately after eating one of her meals, I'll offer her the sippy cup with the water in it, or juice if she's some juice added to it when she's constipated, directly after, and usually that's kind of when she'll like lay down on her boppy pillow and kind of digest and drink the water or whatever, drink some of the water. She really doesn't drink that much. She, almost an ounce maybe of the water. She really doesn't drink that much of it. But it's always good to try and keep them hydrated, especially when they're sick. So she'll do that, and she'll watch a little bit of the baby channel, and then we'll play. And then about an hour and a half after that, she'll have a bottle, usually like 3 ounces. She drinks 4 on a regular bottle feeding, usually about 3 ounces, and then it'll be nap time. So that's kind of the schedule that I have around now, feeding wise. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had to say. I hope this helps somebody, and thank you for watching. Bye.